Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newly rebranded Schmoes of the North presents Northern Consultations, where we sit down with some of your favorite schmoedown pros. For me, I'm very excited to be doing this today because I'm here with one of my favorite schmoedown pros, Eric Zipper. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing as well as can be expected. Doing all right. One of my, I don't want to say favorite things about this whole crazy quarantine experience is that like weird friction every time someone asks somebody else how they're doing, and their answer always starts with like So that's about where I'm at.
We can only be all right in these times, so I'm excited to see that you got a smile on your face. You have been just a bright light in so many of your moments in the schmoedown. I'm sure we're going to get into that a little bit, but let's just jump right into it. How did you first get involved in the schmoedown? Because obviously you've been playing for a couple of years now.
Yeah. So this is hard to talk about because I don't want to give him any credit, obviously, but I got involved through Winston. When he and I came in as the world's finest, he had met Christian and he needed a partner, and he and I were college friends. And he was trying to think of who his biggest movie nerd friends were and thought of me, and we quickly figured out what theme we could have. We were like, superhero shirts. We both have a lot of superhero shirts, and the World's Finest was born.
World's Finest was a really interesting team for me to watch, because as you guys progressed through every match, you were always the team that I saw as just two guys up there having a good time, and even getting to that number one contenders match. What was it like when you started running through getting a couple wins under your belts? Did you have any expectations of championship gold that early?
I don't know if we had those expectations right away, but after that second match against Team Trek, I think when we realized that we really could hang, we were like, oh shit, like we can do this. So to start that first match against the Kingsmen, my main focus was just on having fun and showing what I could do, showing what I knew, because I knew that I could hang. But then after a couple matches, I was like, oh, okay, we'll be fine. And then we went up against the Shire Wolves, and we were not fine. But, that's another story.
that was a theme with you for a little bit, playing Rachel Cushing.
Yeah.
Right before that, you had your Inner Geekdom matchup against her, which a lot of people looked at as your coming out into Inner Geekdom, even though you had already had that one match against Carlson. What keeps you wanting to play in the schmoedown after this will be your third season now? And we've seen a lot of people come and go, but you've been here you're a veteran at this point.
I guess so. I think mostly at this point, the thing that keeps me going is that I don't feel like people have really seen what I can do yet, if I'm being honest. I have a couple wins under my belt, but in general, I really think I can hang with some of the heavy duty players. And so I am in this until I feel that I'm playing at the level that I know I can be playing at, basically.
Well, let's talk about that.
Like you mentioned. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, you mentioned having a couple wins under your belt and stuff, and you are one of only 4 players in schmoedown history right now to have a win across 3 divisions, not counting Star Wars. So you are, and one of the only true triple threat players right now. So what is it about that allows you to do everything across all these leagues?
Yeah, I don't know. A part of it is that I project as being this very Inner Geekdom heavy nerdy person and nerdy player, because all of my t-shirts have superheroes on them, and I just am very into that side of things. But that doesn't really reflect my overall movie taste, because as much as I love the MCU and I love the Inner Geekdom stuff, I really have a much wider, more random taste than that. So as much as I love that I can hang in Inner Geekdom because I've loved that nerd stuff ever since I was a kid, getting involved in singles was really more about wanting to show how wide my knowledge base was. Because also, like you mentioned, in my second Inner Geekdom match, I got absolutely fucking slaughtered by Rachel Cushing, who didn't miss a single question in the entire match. And I was like, singles is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, and you really showed how much of a dominant force you can be in singles, especially when you played Haley last year. And that was just, for a match that was not as high profile as a lot of people wanted to talk about, that was one of my favorite matches from last season. I would say that even if you weren't on the show. I'm definitely going to say because you're on the show, though.
Of course, yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit? What was it like? Because at that point, you had mostly played in teams, and you and Haley had even been on a team before in the Anarchy tournament. But this was your first foray into singles competition where you would actually get to flex your muscles all by yourself. What did that feel like?
It felt good. I was nervous going into it, partly because I know Haley and I know how much she knows and how good she is. And so I knew that it was not a given at all that I would win that match. Yeah, I don't know. It felt. I'm sorry. I'm losing track of my thoughts a little because it was a while back. But it was kind of near the beginning of my time with the dungeon too. So it really felt like it was important in that match for me to establish myself as a member of this faction and to prove that I belonged in this faction. Because at the time I was in there with Paul Oyama and Kevin Smets, who, both had belts. And so I very much felt like I needed to prove that I could hang. And so I was nervous, which Kaiser didn't help with, by the way. I love Kaiser with that whole match. He was so nervous on my account that he was pacing at the back of the studio and just shooting me this, like, don't fuck this up look the entire match. And I was like, okay, I won't.
Well, we just had Kaiser on a couple weeks ago, and he spoke very highly of you. So you should be happy to know that worriness came from a place of love, not out of a place of kicking out faction. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? You played your first season without a manager. What was it like transitioning into a place where now you have not only a faction but a manager in your corner?
Sure. It felt, honestly, coming in a little bit like I had one because I had Winston as a partner, and he is so good on the mic. And so when I came in, again, kills me to say nice things about him. But when I came in, I could just throw it to him, and he would always just crush it. And so going from him to Kaiser wasn't a huge transition. In both dynamics, I kind of get to just, like, react to the insanity. But having a faction felt amazing. Having, like, a group of people that was entering and that was doing promos with me and that was there with me and supporting me, like, it felt awesome. And especially the fact that it was Paul and Kevin, both of whom I'm really good friends with. It felt great. And same with Kaiser, who is, like, Kaiser is not the type of guy I would have expected myself to really get along with, but I love that insane bastard. He is the best.
He has. He's certainly quite the character, and has a lot of great. He's got a lot of energy.
He's just like that.
Yeah, we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we were saying beforehand in our little green room, we're like, is he going to be like he is? And even when the camera was rolling, we were just talking, we're like, man, this guy doesn't stop. And that was so refreshing to see. And talking about that, those genuine moments and stuff, something I really always appreciated about you as a competitor was that the genuine emotion that I saw out of you. Mostly, I'm referring to that moment where in sudden death, you nail the question to beat Haley, and just an eruption comes out of you. That's up there for me with Drew McQueen's yell after he wins the belt, or Mike Kalinowski breaking down when he knows he's going to play Rachel. That's just a not talked about moment. What was it like going into sudden death and then winning it? Because obviously there were a lot of emotion there.
Well, look, it's always been a dream of mine to scream Mark Strong's name in a moment of triumph. I didn't know what the context would be, but there it is. going into sudden death was nerve-wracking. Like I mentioned, it was a nervous energy all around because it kind of felt like there was a lot on the line because I had come off a string of losses, and I really just felt like I needed that win so badly. And when we went into sudden death, frankly, actually, going into sudden death, it was a little bit of relief because going into Haley's 5-pointer, I kind of thought she had it. And so I had kind of started to be like, oh, shit, I lost. And then I was like, oh, a brand new chance to not lose. And that first question, it worked out. Because of that terrible, shitty movie, too. I've never even seen The Brothers Grimsby. Like, I don't
think anyone has.
Yeah, no one has. But, I actually looked up Mark Strong a little bit before that match just to double check on him because we get a lot of questions about him because the dude has been in everything.
He really has. He is a prolific actor, and I play in some family stuff, and when I don't know a male actor, I generally get Mark Strong.
Yeah, it's probably Mark Strong, like 30% chance that it was Mark Strong.
Yeah, you know what? There's only 3 types of people in the world, and one of them is Mark Strong. And then I don't what the other ones are. I'm not a scientist.
Of course, yeah.
A little bit before we started rolling, you talked to me about your first improv group, and talking with your improv teacher. What do you think having an improv background has done for you in your schmoedown career?
I think that it is. There's a huge relationship between the two things. Like, honestly, doing the schmoedown, it's just like 2 of my passions, trivia and improv, just kind of squished together. When I came in, I wasn't a huge like pro wrestling guy growing up. So I came into it not super understanding the genre as well as I could have. But just having people to bounce off of, especially once I got involved in the dungeon, I was like, oh, I'm just doing bits. Like, I can do bits with Kaiser. Kaiser and I can just bounce shit back and forth all day. So I think it really helped me with that. I think it helped me with that sense of like, I'm in that presentational performance mode. That's the like zone that I'm switching into for the duration of this. And then the challenge is finding a way to be in that mode and in that zone at the same time that you are like genuinely racking your brain to answer questions. But yeah, I think it helped a lot.
Yeah, and actually, you're talking about doing bits, and I want to just bring up something Kaiser mentioned on Backstage a couple weeks ago, where talked about your entrance into free for all last year. Where you came out with a cake, and you were just like, "It's my birthday. I'm going to eat this whole cake." At what point did you decide to eat the cake? Did you bring the cake to the studio? Was it there? What was going on with that?
I knew for like a week, as soon as I heard that Free For All was going to be on my birthday, I was like, I'm bringing cake, but only I can eat it. Yeah, I don't know. I just, it felt like the right move. And then I even made my friend who drove me there, I like frantically, like when I was in the green room, was like texting him, like, go to Whole Foods and get me a cake. And so he like ran down the street, got me a cake, brought it back. And I was off stage. I was eliminated by the time that I realized that the cake had a second layer, that was cheesecake on the bottom. And so I eventually was rewarded with a cheesecake layer. So I don't regret the decision at all, frankly.
My next question was going to be, was it worth it? But it sounds like you would, if Free For All had gone on again, would you have brought another cake, making it a tradition?
I was thinking about it. I was trying to think of a way to one up it, maybe like a bunch of cupcakes or something. I don't know. But but there would have been some continued acknowledgement of my birthday because I am incapable of not making it all about me on my birthdays. So
who isn't? You talked about how you weren't a big pro wrestling guy going into it, but you found yourself both in your first season with Anarchy and then last season with your corruptions, how you got involved with corruption storyline, and then eventually going into your partnership with the Dungeon. Talk to me a little bit about that, because you became kind of centerpiece for a little bit, getting involved in the storylines.
Honestly, I was so stoked. Getting to do scenes was so fun. I love everyone there so much, and just getting to do scenes and bounce off of people and interact with some of the ridiculous humans. Like getting to getting to know and interact and do scenes with like Dagnino and like all these people who I'm just like, it's such a gift to bounce off of. Yeah, honestly, like the schmoedown got a lot more fun once I sort of had that sort of like storyline hook, had that angle. Like now I like, if Winston is there, I have a goal, which is to humiliate him. You know, like you get these little like goal oriented ideas and things, and you're like, cool. Obviously the goal is to win, but also I have an enemy. I have a nemesis. I have an emotional like hook or investment into it. Just fun.
Yeah. Is that the eventual end goal? Bring Winston off his management perch to beat him, or to just beat every member of Swag?
Look, I was willing to let it go, and then he keeps coming out and talking shit. So if that's what he wants, then that's what he'll get. You know what I mean? Like, I just I obviously can't spoil anything, but I just recorded an MCU match with him yesterday. And it's like, I will face him in the ring. I will face any of his opponents in the ring. Put me against Paul Oyama. I don't care. I'll do it.
Bold worlds, and that is a match I would love to see. I want to go back a little bit. So you're doing all this. You're playing you're getting involved in storylines. You're now very involved with the dungeon. How has this season changed? Because obviously last season with the dungeon, there was the four of you. There was Kaiser, you, Smets, Oyama. But now there's all these people around. There's Video Drew and Smets and Vinny Kuza and Robert Parker, obviously. What's it like being a part of the dungeon now as opposed to before?
It hasn't changed that much because, Kevin and Kaiser are still there. And I think of us as like the core, and we're still here. And as much as it's a shame that Paul got pulled over to Swag, what's done is done. But all the new people so far, I think we've been clicking. I really enjoy Vinny Mancuso, who, by the way, both Vinny and I have Don't Panic on our left arm. He also has a Don't Panic tattoo on his left arm, which is wild. And my new partner, Adam Witt, I think that people are sleeping on how scary he and I are going to be, because we cover each other's knowledge gaps insanely well, and we get along and click and have a good energy so far. So I think that we are going to come out and surprise a lot of people.
That is, so this will be now the third team you're going to, or fourth team, sorry, that you
yeah.
Is teams the league that you really want see yourself thriving in? Because obviously you got to a number one contenders match with World's Finest. You and Paul broken up too soon, if I can say. And then you and Haley, obviously, you didn't get out of the first round in the Anarchy tournament, but I think you played very well in that match against Who's the Boss. Is teams you have really stepped up in? Is that the league you feel most comfortable in, or why are you bouncing around to all these new teammates?
I mean, great question. I think it's the league I feel comfortable in because I've been playing in it the longest, and because I love having somebody to collaborate with and bounce off of, and take that moment to like check in and double check with each other is really helpful. I do think that with several of my teams, people never got a chance to see what we could do. Like with me and Haley, we got one match. With me and Paul, we got two matches, and people never got to see how scary we could be. So I would love to sort of have a team situation that really clicks and that I can stay with for a while. That would be amazing. But that said, I think the league I most want to impress people in is singles. Like, I know I only have that one match so far, but I think singles is where I want to be, because Inner Geekdom is great, but it's so covered in the dungeon right now between Robert Parker and Kevin Smets. I feel like the also ran of the Inner Geekdom in the dungeon, and so singles is where I want to live.
Yeah, and I was always excited when saw Kaiser sharing those pictures of sending Trevor off to do training in Wakanda and stuff as he prepares for his singles matches.
Yeah.
As and I keep calling you a triple threat player, but that is, you are one of the only triple threats that the league still has. Is there a different way that you prepare for each division, or is it pretty much just standard across the board?
It's pretty standard across the board. It's weird because I, in school, was not really a studier. I was that kid who realized that I could still get B's if I did the bare minimum and didn't study at all. So I just did that because it was less work. And so having something that I care enough about to actually study for it is sort of a new experience for me. The first time I caught myself making flashcards, I was like, who am I? What is happening?
You're speaking to my heart here, because I had a very similar experience in school where I walked into my guidance counselor's office, said, this is the school I want to go to, and this is what program I want to take. And he said, all right, if you want to do that, you're going to need a 68 average. And I was like, well, I'm getting 80s. And that was the day I stopped studying and doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Since you didn't have that baked in studying mentality, was it hard to learn to readjust your brain to studying?
A little bit. I still do it very at the last minute just because I retain the information better. So I do a lot of cramming in the couple days before a match. But yeah, a little bit of the hardest part actually is knowing what to study, because the base is so large. The amount of things you could potentially be asked about is so huge that just knowing where to start was the hardest part of just being well, there's thousands upon thousands of movies in existence. What is the information that I should prioritize? And it's starting to get a little clearer and make a little more sense, mostly now that I know the game better. But yeah, that was the hardest part, was just knowing where to even begin with studying.
Now, you said that singles is the league that you most want to prove your stuff in. If obviously you have an upcoming match with Stacey that we won't get into because that hasn't aired it all yet, but at this point that you're in now, do you feel like you are prepared to make a singles run and go after the Rokas and the Ben Batemans? You're calling out Paul Oyama, so are you ready for that?
Yeah, honestly, I think I am. Obviously, it's going to vary from match to match. It depends on what you're asked about. It depends on the spin of the wheel and all that. But I will say this. When Paul Oyama played his match against Dan Murrell and took the belt off of him, I was there watching that match, playing along, and I scored higher than both of them. So depending on the day, I know I can hang. I can do it. So I'm calling it right now. Stacey is just a stepping stone on the path to that belt. Paul, Dan, would I be a little bit nervous about going up against them? Sure, but do I think I have a legit chance? If I'm playing at my absolute best against those players? Yes, I do.
You heard it here first, everyone. Eric Zipper says he should be champion right now. Would have beaten Dan Murrell on that day. Are you the greatest of all time?
I was trying to think of a clever acronym. I'm the FGOAT, the future greatest of all time. I'm on my way there. People will know soon enough.
People will know the zip man when he comes. We're obviously we've been having great conversation here. We have a couple questions outside of the movie trivia schmoedown that we'd like to ask all our guests.
Please.
First of all, one of them is there something that the fans don't know about you that they would be surprised? Other than that the Hulk would beat everyone in a fight, obviously, is your opinion.
Right.
Is there anything else that people would be surprised to learn about you?
Yeah, here's one. You know the movie Superbad?
I do.
I was one of the 4 finalists for the part of McLovin. Almost played McLovin.
Oh my gosh, what a different world we would live in right now. I could be talking to McLovin, but he wouldn't be McLovin.
It would be a weird different timeline. So yeah, that's my weird fun fact about myself is and when they told told me I didn't get the part. They gave me my favorite rejection I've ever gotten, which is they said I was a little too cool for the role, and I was like, I'll take it. Fuck yeah.
That, oh my God. Oh, that is the goal of everyone ever to hear when you get a rejection. I'm sorry, you can't come to work today. You're too cool. Take off the sunglasses. Cool. Get a worse haircut. Let's get it out of here.
Well, at the time, I was clean shaven. I had like a Jew fro. It was a bad situation.
And you were too cool, though.
And I was still too cool. I was a little too cool to play like the nerdiest character of all time. But still, it's fine. It's fine.
Clearly, he's not salty about it. Does not have a framed picture of the movie with his face taped over it. That's not just over the. That's not. If we were to tilt the camera, we wouldn't see that, would we?
No, not at all. Let's square up the thing for no reason. Yeah, no, not at all. I definitely don't have pictures of Christmas class with just like eyes cut out. Yeah.
And then another one that we'd like to ask is, if movies were going away for some aliens coming down and they're giving us the Men in Black treatment and taking all our movies away, what 3 films would you watch as a final farewell to the medium?
I have actually spent today like sort of tormenting over this question, because I know that I have 3 specific like modes, because it's got to be all encompassing, right? It's your final day of movies. So I want something heartbreaking, something hilarious, and something exciting. So for something hilarious, I'd probably have to go with my favorite movie of all time, A Serious Man. Also easily the most Jewish movie of all time, but that's neither here nor there. I love that movie. It makes me laugh. It moves me. I think it just has to go in there. I almost picked Dr. Strangelove for that one because I wanted something older, and the list is going to skew kind of new, but it's fine. For something heartbreaking, probably Magnolia, because it's 3 hours long, and you're getting like 9 movies in one movie with that one. You're getting all these different stories, and I can encompass all these different vibes. And I just love it. It was my favorite for a really long time. And then for the last one, I kind of wanted to pick a horror movie, either The Thing or Alien, but I think I have to go with Mad Max Fury Road. I just rewatched it again the other day, and it's just a perfect movie. I don't know. I think it'd have to be Mad Max. It's pure cinema to me. It's pure visual storytelling.
It's true. And you know what? You made the right choice, because all the other movies you didn't pick, is there a guy playing flame guitar? I don't think so.
No. None of those other movies have a flame guitarist named the Doof Warrior in them. So automatically, gotta go with it.
Yeah, you're going to tell me Saving Private Ryan isn't better if Tom Hanks is there and the Doof Warrior, he's just in the background? I'm saying it's maybe not a better movie. It's a more fun movie, though. It's a more fun movie.
I challenge anyone to name a single movie that would not benefit from the Doof Warrior's presence.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
If in Sophie's Choice, while Sophie is making her choice, there's just a dude on a flame guitar shredding in the background, you'd be like, yeah, Sophie, make that choice. Choose. Fuck yeah.
Sophie's Choice was not where I thought you were going to go with that. I'm so happy that you did. Oh my goodness. I don't have very many Photoshop.
I'm just saying that choice could have been so much cooler.
Oh my gosh, you just gave me my night. That's a Photoshop that I've got to do now. Very professional to break like this, Dave. Anyway, thank you for coming on. This was really fantastic. Do you have anything that you want to plug before we let you go?
Yeah, first I want to apologize for how loud my computer is. If you're watching this and wondering what that sound is, it's me. You can find my stuff on YouTube. I write for The Completionist. If you're a video game fan at all, we do amazing content, and I've been writing for them for a couple years. So if you watch an episode of The Completionist and there's a particularly dumb joke in it, I am happy to take credit for that. And I do improv with Comedy Sports Los Angeles. There are comedy sports all around the country, and right now, because of the COVID situation, they're all playing against each other on Zoom. So I am not in tomorrow's match, but there's a Zoom match against the San Jose team, and I'm going to probably be playing in a week or two. So if you want some improv, it's been a super weird challenge adapting improv to happen over Zoom and over video chats, but I think it's actually turned out pretty cool. So I recommend checking that out. Our website is czla.com. That's it. Those are my plugs. Oh, and follow me on Letterboxd. I write dumb jokes about movies. There we go.
But you know what? I expect to see a Doof Warrior Sophie's Choice joke at some point in there. As always, you can find me at Leaves Me Alone on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Schmoes of the North. Follow us on Twitter at Northern Schmoes, and come join the Facebook page. It's a very positive Canadian environment. We'd love to have you. This has been the Northern Consultation. Zipper, thank you for coming on, and as always, we hope to have you on in the future. Maybe after you get some matches and everything goes back to normal.
Sure.
All right, and good night to everybody.
Good night, everyone.